All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's live stream. Been getting some content out for you. Thinking of an idea for today, and I really just wanted to do a Q&A for basically anything Powerstroke related. They're all on the table: 6.7, 6.4s, the 6-liter, the 7.3. So it is going to be a live stream where we do have to kind of wait for some people to get in here and get in the chats. We'll see how that goes. So hopefully people start getting in. Been a while since we've done a Sunday night live stream here. I see we got 2 people in here, so hopefully that starts jumping up and we can really get into some context. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, smash that like button as we're getting started today. Hope everybody has got a 6.0 owner from Texas in here. Welcome, Michael. Good to have you, man. Those of you guys just joining us, the idea behind today is really just anything 6.0, 7.3, 6.4, 6.7 related, any questions at all, whether that's issues, upgrades you're looking at doing, how-to videos, ideas for the channel. It's all up to you guys as far. I will kind of start talking until you guys get in the comments here, start asking some questions. I'll try not to shake my desk. Bear with me. I got a little congestion going on. Another Texas 6-liter owner here. I know where my demographic is, apparently. Anyway, so I hope you guys are also kind of enjoying. I know I haven't done another video, but the XLT to Platinum video series that we're starting, I was actually just shooting how to program keys, and turn on remote start for that. So I'm very excited to do that and get that video going there. I actually went back and forth between doing a live stream tonight and editing that video. So I might be able to get both in, kind of depends how the live stream goes. While we're getting started here, big shout out Turbo Time USA, as always. 6.0 bros for 10% off. They did double the discount for my subscribers, so 10% off with my code, with my affiliate code, that is. Really love working with those guys. But so yeah, remote start is officially working on the truck. We have had some hiccups more related to the kit that I bought for it, which is one of the things I'm actually looking at trying to fix on the truck, that is, and finding an affordable. My goal is to find a cheap kit that works, so that we can have remote start for a reasonable price for everybody without having to deal with paying a crazy amount for keys. So we'll see. But so far, I have not had a ton of luck finding a kit that was a feasible thing for. Josh sending me pictures of tools. Actually, really nice. They actually look quite nice, those wrenches. Anyway, what would be the cause of having a crank truck 3 times before it will finally start? After running and shutting off, it starts fine on first crank. So that sounds like you might be having. So there's a couple things. Everybody on 6 liters tends to go to the high pressure oil system as a whole as your main culprit. Can you give me what year is your truck? And hopefully it's not an 04, and then we got to try to figure out what sets there, because there's 3 different high pressure oil setups on the 04. And of course, do you know if your ICP sensor is located under your turbo or on your valve cover? You can change lifters without pulling the motor. Do you know if you have the later style pump? Do you know if you have the later style high pressure oil pump or the earlier style high pressure oil pump? This does kind of help my answer a little bit. In 04, there was 3 different high pressure oil system setups. The old pump and old oil rails. They're actually called fuel rails by Ford. Okay, so you have the whole, oh, I'm breaking up. Let me quick check to make sure everything is plugged in. How's everything sound right now, John? For everybody else, is the audio okay? I'll wait to hear from you guys. Good here. Okay. No, must have just been a loose connection. I must not have plugged it in the whole way. So you have the whole later style high pressure oil system. So from a leaking standpoint, if that's your issue, I'm going to tell you how to kind of start figuring out if that's what's going on. If you do have a hot leak, which is common in those years, your snap to connect fitting is a common failure point. Dummy plugs and standpipes, those three things make up the main leaking points on that system. Those pumps are incredibly reliable. People blame them. They get replaced by shops that don't know what they're doing all the time, and they never check those other things. So how do you know if that's your issue? Because it could also be related to Fickum sync, cam crank sync, although those two I doubt on a warm startup if that's what you're having an issue with. Batteries are a big one, and your starter is another big one. So the one thing I would recommend is go make sure that your starter actually has, I would make sure all the connections are good, make sure the ground on it's good. Oh, it's only on a cold start, so warm's good. Okay, then I would check your voltage on your batteries as you're starting up. I'm sorry, I misunderstood, Mike. Well, there's a whole bunch of useless information for you. If it's on a cold start, what I would check is do you have any way to monitor your truck? This is something I actually talk about in the remote start video I'm getting ready to edit later tonight or tomorrow. A way to be able to read system information is super important. So if it's a cold start, what I would say is I'd want to check your battery voltage and your Fickum voltage. And do that while cranking, because what I suspect is probably happening is your voltage is probably dropping. That could be just batteries being weak. It could be related to bad grounds as well. And once everything warms up, it's not as hard on the truck to get started. I would still double check the grounding on your starter and make sure that the power line to it is hooked up nice and tight. That can be a source of weak starts as well. I've seen that more than once, honestly. But those would be my places I would look. The other things to just double check while you're doing it is it's not a bad idea to, hey, scan gauge will work perfect, Mike. If I remember correctly, you can keep an eye on 4 things at once. So what I would do is I would monitor ICP voltage, IPR percent, battery voltage, and Fickum main voltage. And so your Fickum should never drop below 47, even on cold starts. Your batteries, if you're real cold, I'm not saying that they can't drop, but they shouldn't drop like crazy low. I would say you should still be above, like definitely above 10, preferably above 11. If you're dropping into the 10s or 9s on that start, then that's definitely your issue. If your batteries are actually good and you're not sure why you're getting that extra draw, then I would be looking at your starter and make sure that that's in good shape. Scan gauge really is an excellent tool to use for monitoring it. I know a lot of people knock it because it's very basic. But it came out at a time before we had Forescan, Torque Pro, and like these really affordable ways to monitor the trucks. Back then, at a minimum, to really get into a quality monitoring solution, you had to spend $300-400. It was before the kind of rise of good monitoring setups that didn't cost a ton of money. So I'm obviously a big fan of some of these other solutions that we have talked about um, in the past, and I imagine in the future I will continue to talk about them a fair amount because I am a big fan of them. But just understand what to look for at that. That should lead you in the right direction for that. Typically, if it's a high pressure oil leaks issue, that will be worse when the truck is warmed up. So I don't think that is. Fickum sink, cam crank sink, those are issues that wouldn't be affected by warm or cold typically. So I don't believe that's an issue for you either. So yeah, I think you're pretty well set up there. And I just want to double check, guys. Am I still coming in clear? Just want to make sure that that issue is resolved now on the microphone. While we wait for another question here. Yep, no problem, man. Happy I could help. And I do want to say I think we got a 6.0 from Yuma, Arizona. So lifters without pulling. All right, good. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Lifters without pulling the motor. Yes, that is doable. Some of them are hard to do. It really kind of depends where it is because getting a stud out, well, getting a bolt out sometimes is hard. So if you had to replace a whole row of lifters, I would say you're probably done. That head's going to blow at some point because how they do it is they actually remove one of the head bolts, because most lifters, other than like really high end stuff that's completely aftermarket, like the Kill Devil Diesel sells the is it Jessel? Don't quote me on the name, but Kill Devil Diesel sells them. They're the only ones that you don't have to take a head bolt or stud out. So I guess if you had to take a stud out, that would actually be easier because you could just undo the nut on top, pull the rocker arm stuff off, and then replace it, as opposed to taking a whole bolt out. Because if you have to take a whole bolt out, some places you can't do that. If you only had to take one out and retorque it, you probably will be fine. It's tough to say long term. Like if you had to replace more than that, I would say it's probably going to be real tough on a head gasket. I've heard of if you guys that have been around a while have probably heard of people studding their truck one bolt at a time. That never goes well for them. They almost always end up blowing head gaskets. Even guys that do it on fresh head gasket jobs, while they have better luck with it, excuse me, most of the time I hear people blowing head gaskets afterwards. So if you only had to replace one, maybe two, you'll probably be okay. Anything more than that, I would say at that head gasket's going to need replaced. But you can technically replace them with the engine in the cab. You just have to go ahead and take the head bolt or stud, well, at least the nut to the stud off. So that's how that happens. Nick, what's up, man? How are you doing tonight? But again, as we wait for more questions down here, we'll kind of get into about the remote start and force. Is a really cool application, and it really lets you do a lot. I even turning on features that weren't there before. So I turned on remote start, which was a pretty cool thing for me to do. And like I said, I'm trying to find some affordable keys to have people kind of go be able to buy and work on their truck. I'm having a hard time finding a reliable key at this point to say, hey, you're good to go get this. But I am trying to find that at this time. So I have been able to program. Well, the only reason I had a key right away is I had an old Ford key I took apart, took the chip out of it, programmed it to my truck, and that worked. But the cheap set that I got from Amazon did not. So I have found some things that I'm working on, but until I have a permanent solution, I won't talk too terribly much about how to make it work with some of these cheaper keys, but it is something that's in the works. We shall see. And actually, once I get another key up and running, I want to take the key that came with it apart and look at the circuit board on it. But again, that's a whole other thing. Salt Lake City, Zach, welcome to the live stream, man. Those of you guys just joining, this is a free-for-all for everybody as far as questions go. Anything Powerstroke related, channel related, I'm happy to answer, whether that's up-and-coming projects, old projects I've done, equipment that I use, tools. Many of you guys have seen me talk about my computer setup that I'm very proud of, which I've modified my computer about as much as I have my 6-liter. Which reminds me, my injectors are done and on the way, so very excited about that. We do have 205 30% nozzles on the way, completed injectors from a builder out in California, so very excited for that. It is not Warren Diesel, it is not Holder Diesel, which is what everybody uses, and I have nothing bad to say about those guys. I do recommend them a lot. This guy pretty much mainly builds just for his personal truck at this point, but it does seem like it would be pretty easy to build a set of injectors. I have not. Here's so I've been waiting to kind of talk about the 6-liter because we're still figuring some stuff out. Here's what I can tell you so far. My cylinder heads have been sent back down to Kill Devil Diesel because we think there might be an issue. That is why it cracked the rocker box. And there was a cylinder that was wet causing that smoke on startup that I kept complaining about. I don't want to get too into detail because I don't have enough information to talk about it. Admittedly, it's been more than slightly stressful for me to have that kind of money wrapped up in the 6-liter and not making regular content with it because of that. But at least things are getting taken care of. The good news is the bottom end all seems good. Greg's very confident that there isn't an issue. Might have a leaking valve seal that was causing the oil issue. So we shall see, and we're gonna go from there. But I don't have anything official. Kill Devil Diesel just got the heads. The one thing I can say is I've always felt confident buying from them because I feel like they take care of issues. So this is an annoying issue to have. A lot of time has passed, obviously, from the original purchase of everything and getting it back together. But things are where they need to be. Very frustrating for me. But I did go ahead. Again, one of the reasons I have shout outs to the sponsor is they covered half of the cost for the injectors. So, you know, if there's one reason I advertise for them so much, it's because they support me as much as they do. So if anybody is looking for a turbo, please show Turbo Time some support. Use my affiliate code for that 10% off because they're part of the reasons that these injectors are getting done. It does leave me with the debacle of I'm pretty certain I have a set of 175 stock nozzle injectors that are in perfect working condition. So I'll probably be selling them most likely once the truck's all back and running and I swap out injectors. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, Nick, it has been definitely more than a little frustrating for me because I want that truck back and I felt like I had it back. I have parts for that truck. I have new headlights for it that are going to go on the truck. I have a new leather bottom piece for it. I've already swapped turbos on it. So we have, 2 turbo reviews to do, a bunch of sensors that we're going to hook up. We're going to monitor all through the Edge CTS setup. I think the 6.7 I'm going to put to the Banks iDash setup, just because they have a nice pod that kind of makes it look like it a little more at home in that truck. But so we're going to do a fuel pressure, an independent boost sensor, also while also probably trying out one of the new 100 psi sensor kits that In The Shop made. Obviously, some tune reviews are in the works as well. So just a lot of different stuff for that. But things are getting taken care of. Kill Devil Diesel only got the cylinder heads late last week. So for review, I was part of the original group of heads sent out. So that is, they're launching a new product. Like I said, I feel like they're going to take care of it. That's what I care most about. And as soon as I have something substantial to tell you guys, is when I plan to release that video. Until then, I've been trying to focus on the XLT to Platinum build. Also, because it's easy to give Josh a hard time with it as well, because he has let me have it since getting a Platinum. His truck's gorgeous. Truthfully, really nice truck. But yeah, so I've just kind of been trying to focus on this newer idea and kind of get that started here. I have a fair amount of stuff for it already. I also need to do the head unit video, turn around, do a rear camera install, but we're also going to be planning to do a front camera as well. So not sure how close together I'll put those, but they will both be happening. I think it'd be cool to have a front facing camera on that truck. Just because it's kind of nice to be able to see exactly where you're going, especially for people that are uncomfortable, or your wife's driving your truck and you want to make sure she knows not to hit anything, excuse me, when she's pulling up at a gas station or something. No, Nick, I have always felt very confident that Josh and I have always maintained the utmost of respectful banter back and forth, and it's not a competition at all. Just, a little playful back and forth for sure. Nothing too serious. Oh, Hammer Down Motorsports. Sorry, guys. He's a good dude. I really like him. Anyway, but no, one of these days I'll have to have Josh make a guest appearance on the channel and go over his truck. It is gorgeous. He loves it. And it is a really cool truck. He's we were just talking about something for that truck the other day, and I can't think what the heck it was, but it's nice. It's got a really nice leveling kit on it. Airbags already. It's got a B&W fifth wheel hitch setup. Well, that like gooseneck fifth wheel thing. He's got to get like the actual part to drop in, but like something super, super high end thing for it. It's gorgeous. It's awesome. Very tinted windows. Very, very tinted windows. Super clean. Heated steering wheel. Heated and cooled seats. Everything. Absolutely everything. So we are going to try and truthfully, this is part of what gave me the idea. I know I talked originally about turning it into a Lariat, and then jokingly we came up with the Platinum idea. But realistically, like, some of my ideas are kind of to be like, what would someone rather have when I'm done? The XLT that someone made exactly what they wanted, or a Platinum, and neither is wrong. Heck, having an XLT truck that you do nothing with is perfectly fine. But it's something different. You guys have already, I already have a high horsepower build. Maybe not by today's standards, 600 horsepower from like what new trucks do with full tuning on isn't all that crazy, but it's still a pretty wild truck at the end of the day, and it'll be a lot of fun to drive. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I am going to program a key for Josh at some point. He needs that done. as well, because his truck and mine both only came with one key. He, at least for his, it's not turning on remote start. It's his already has it, obviously. But just programming another key for it is on the agenda. So I will harass him for that. We'll definitely at least video that setup while we're doing that. That'll be something that definitely gets some airtime, so to speak. Anyway, though, those of you guys in the live stream, do you have any questions about 6 liters, 6.7s, 7.3s, the 6.4, everybody's favorite Powerstroke to hate on? You guys feel free to kind of throw questions at me. That's part of what I want to. Shout out from Salt Lake City. Just saw that. Thank you, Zach. It is cool to see everybody from like across the country comment. I've had people from other countries, even Germany, Mexico. I've gotten all of them. I think I hear my pup. Oh, she's not having it today. She's going right over to the couch. Come here. Nope. She's laying down at the couch. But one thing in Forescan, as I'm learning it more and more, it's something I'm definitely trying to play with as much as I can. There's so much you can do with it, and I'm trying to learn. How to, like, when I tried to put the air intake on the 6.7, one of the things somebody said is that you have to reset the mass airflow tables for what like the flow values should be. So it is something I'm considering trying to do to see if it works. If I can put an aftermarket air intake that doesn't necessarily meet the factory spec because it lets more air in. So I am trying to figure some of those things out, because I do want to put a big filter on that thing and test to see how it does. And if not, excuse me, if that doesn't work, what I will probably end up doing is finding somebody to tune it, but somebody that will keep sorry, just looking at a question. Find someone that'll keep it like a stock perspective. I'm not looking to get in any trouble with the EPA and all that stuff. I'm trying to stay clear of that. We're just looking for, maximizing performance. So something to bear in mind. I do plan to get back to doing that. It's been terrible time trying to modify from a performance standpoint that truck, between tuning and between air filters and such. It's been absolutely awful. So something we will continue to work on, though, but probably wait more till the warmer months for some of that stuff. Dad is still rocking the old 7 Tree, still running strong. It's been a great truck. I remember for the first, so he's owned that since new. So he bought it 23 years ago. He bought it in 2000 as an 01 model year, I believe. For the first 15 years, he didn't think he had a block heater. He was told he didn't have one. He has one. Found it. That's one thing I want to do a video on, installing a block heater on your 6.7. Even though they don't seem to really need them, why not have it? There's no downside to having it on there. I have one on my 6 liter. I want one on my 6.7. The Mishimoto radiator on the 6 liter. So we went through 2 different Mishimotos. I don't know why I did 3. Sorry, 2. 2 different Mishimotos. First one was the much more affordable one, and I called them before to say, hey, first off, is this a real product? Because it seems fake. They did assure me it's a real setup. It's a real Mishimoto. They were an actual vendor for them, that it was safe to buy. They said the only thing you're going to see is higher transmission temps, and not everyone experiences it. But coolant is excuse me, is fine. Well, that was a lie. So what I found out is that they actually have The newer one is much thicker. The more expensive one is a much thicker radiator, and it cools much better, including transmission temps. The transmission and the core for coolant, it does. However, in my opinion, it's not an upgrade over factory at all. It looks nicer, but the Mishimoto radiators are not an actual upgrade. I would not recommend buying them. I think it's a company, IPR, makes like a heavy duty one, and that is actually IPR Research. They actually make a upgrade for the factory one. That is what I would recommend getting instead of the Mishimoto. I do not recommend the Mishimoto at all. Fitment wise, it's not bad. It fits in there, but it's not going to give you any better cooling. The IPR one is the one I like. It's not bad. $550. I'm looking at it right now. This is probably what I will be going with in the future. I do plan to. It is definitely thicker than the factory one. So that would be my recommendation from that. It is. I'm not a big Mishimoto fan. I'm not saying all their products are bad. I'm just saying they are definitely guilty of some false advertisement, and they've deliberately made their return, like their warranty procedure, more difficult in hopes that you'll just buy another product and not use it. Excuse me. For instance, like the shop that my truck's at, if I buy a Mishimoto product from them and they put it in, they cannot do the warranty for that information at all. They can't do it. They won't let them. I have to be the one to do it. That is terrible. Even if I buy it from him, they have made it so it's harder to use. So they might have a lifetime warranty. They make you jump through hoops. They make you pay a decent chunk for shipping. Like on a radiator, I think I had to pay like $100 for shipping. I'm sorry, it's not $100 to ship that item, especially when it's not next day. Like I had to wait like a week to get it on top of it. So I can say this. I am by far and wide not a Mishimoto fan. They probably have a few products that I can say they have a few products that look decent, like some of their CCV reroute kits that let you route the oil vapors into a canister and then lets you bring it back to your air intake so you still keep excuse me, a factory compliant setup. It's been a while since I've talked consecutively for this long. My throat's not liking it, which is why we have the cough drops. Try to fix that. Pulling up Mishimoto's website now to see. I would love if just some of the stuff if they did a better job. I have not been a fan of some of what they've done. I'm not saying I hate them entirely, but by far and wide, I'm not a fan. I don't recommend them to people for sure. Their coolant filtration kit is a lot of their stuff is also way overpriced. Like their one intercooler is $1,300. Now they do have a factory replacement that's $520. That's interesting. That's a new product. I'll have to look into that more because they say it's thicker. That's actually an interesting setup. Anyway, so no additional cooling. They do frustrate me. I don't recommend them. And that's basically my whole tangent. The IPR kit I'd be willing to try, or just getting a factory one. I can tell you this, the factory radiator works really well. I really liked mine. I had no issue with mine. I just figured while all my crap was apart, I wanted to upgrade. That was really it. That was the whole reason why I did it. Um, Jokes on me, it was a downgrade. Aftermarket fuel filtering systems having a lot of issues lately with getting bad fuel and having to constantly change filters. Mike, what setup are you just running the factory setup or do you have a different one? And Nick, CRF? CRF. Oh. No. CFR? We'll talk about 6.7 intercoolers in a minute. So I guess there's two ways to look at aftermarket filtering for your setup. So on my 6 liter, personally, I run a fast system. I do like it. It's loud, but any upgraded fuel pump for those trucks is going to be loud. You're just not going to get one that isn't. If you need additional fuel, I do think they're better filters. I do think you're getting much better filter from Fast or AirDog than you are from the factory stuff. That being said, factory filters I think do a decent job. I don't think they're bad by any means. I think the Fast stuff and AirDogs are better. From there, the other thing to do would be people having fuel setups to in line with the factory stuff to help with. And in that, I'm not opposed to it. I do think that's overkill. I wouldn't recommend it. When you say you're getting bad with getting bad fuel, are you getting a lot of water in fuel? What's it doing? CSF. That makes more sense, Nick. So, Mike, what is your fuel doing that's giving you issues? So I can kind of give some recommendations. There's a couple different products out there that I can see if I can find some of these here for you. There's one specific one I'm looking for. Power Service is always an excellent one to have. I like to keep Power Service, especially in the winter, some Diesel 911 for gelling. I'm a big fan of it. They do have treatments, there's the Boost, and then there's the Winterizer / anti-gel, but that doesn't do a whole lot to get rid of water. I'm trying to find the one. I believe it starts with an S. But I'm just looking for something that will removes water slime to prevent fuel filter failures. Let me get you a link here. Excuse me. So basically, diesel fuel. So you want something that'll get rid of water in it, which there's this one really good one that I'm a big fan of. I don't have to use it a whole lot, obviously, but like long-term storage of diesel, I'm a big believer in using it, but I can't find it here. So Power Service is good stuff. I do really like their products. So I'm going to recommend this. This does say that it helps to remove water and slime. This is a good one to have. This is going to be an affiliate link, but this is what I would really recommend. This product here is what I would really recommend. You want something that I would, if you're having an issue in your area where you're getting a lot. Yeah. So I would definitely do something like that to help get rid of Helps to stabilize as well. So I would use that, and then I would also use 1 second, something like an additive. Um, I haven't heard, man, black. Like, so you just have dirty fuel, maybe. I would still try the water remover to see if that helps. The other thing that you could try after that would be some like an anti-gelling product. Again, Power Service sells one, and you certainly don't have to buy from here. Like Advanced Auto should have these as well. So here's like this one's like a boost and winterizer in one. So what I would probably do is I would try I mean, I guess in theory you could install a filter prior to your other filters, but you shouldn't be clogging that much. Like, is it possible for you to be able to change stations? Let them, I would report to them. Like, if you're going to the same place all the time, I'd let them know, hey, I'm getting dirty fuel from you guys. It's clogging my fuel filter. It's happened 3 times now. Excuse me. And just let them know. The only other thing to do, you could check inside your tank and see if there's like a delamination issue. If like the finishing on the inside is coming up, causing some of what you have going on. I would try one of these. I would at least try one of these products to see if it helps. Water doesn't necessarily always look like water when you're having this issue. So I would at least try at least one of them. I kind of lean towards the water issue. They could be having an issue with their tank as well, but definitely report the issue and let them know. I mean, it's not going to get you compensated from them for sure, but at least make sure they're aware of how bad it is. Checking out your tank seems like a good idea as well. David, what made you make the switch from Arch Oil to Hot Shot Secrets? But yeah, no, those are, again, definitely let the company know, hey, this is your fuel. Mike, if you are able to switch, I would definitely try and switch and see if there isn't somebody else you can go to that would maybe be a little bit better, because that is tough. These trucks certainly aren't cheap, and fuel filters aren't necessarily a cheap thing either. To have to keep messing with that stuff, that's just not something you want to deal with, truthfully. So I'd let them know it, and I'd switch where I was getting my fuel from, at least until they correct the issue. I'm strolling through IPR's website looking for their other radiator. Where are you? Hold on 1 second, guys. Yeah. All right. Good night. Yeah. All right. Good night. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Oh wow, they were actually shut down from all the complaints. Um, yeah, that's bad. Um, has it been happening since you did that? Um, I can't believe I don't know that I've heard of someone getting shut down um, for selling that amount of bad fuel. Like that must have been a pretty wild amount to cause that. Ah, here are their radiators. This is what I was looking for. So they have they're all three of what they have are called extreme duty, but there's a clear thinner one. I don't know what the difference is. Okay, so one is supposed to be like an OEM replacement, and then they have the thicker one that is the actual uh an actual big upgrade that you're gonna should be able to see a real difference with. That's what I like. That's kind of nifty. Wow, it's a brand new store and they they can't sell diesel. That's got to be tough to be brand new, open up, and now you're not allowed to sell diesel um, fuel because there's been so many complaints about what's happening. Has it happened since, or now you kind of just dealing with what might be happening after? You might, if their fuel was that bad that they got shut down, you might have crap in your tank that does require getting cleaned out. While you're in there, you should do a harpoon mod. This is something I'm going to be doing in the near future once I get the opportunity, which is basically adds like I think it's like 5 extra gallons of diesel you can use on your truck. Okay, so 90 gallons of diesel fuel. You got some time in there, maybe until you're actually fully out of it. But I would clean both tanks definitely when you get the opportunity, when it's you're able to kind of have them both down and figure out what's going on. But man, that's tough. I'm sorry to hear that. That does just suck. Um, the good news is with a 6.0, they're not as sensitive to what you're dealing with, whereas on 6.7s, man, um, sorry, let me quick answer this. Um, but on a 6.7, man, that's like a death sentence to your high pressure oil pump and potentially like a $10,000 job in replacement parts if you don't know how to do it yourself. And the hard part is on these newer trucks, they do require the injectors be programmed. So it's not something that's as easy to just go in and do it like it was on older trucks. Like when I do the injectors on my 6 liter, it's going to be pulling injectors out, putting them in, program the truck, not the individual injector. And if I wasn't changing injector size, I wouldn't even have to program the truck. I just keep running the same darn thing. Well, Mike, the one thing with diesel is it doesn't necessarily ignite the same way gas does. It won't, like if you drop a match in diesel, it's more likely to just go out because it needs heat, just heat to combust. Like I remember once I had a little diesel, I poured in like a cardboard box and like just tossed it in the fire. And before the box ignited, the diesel actually, like it was in a while. The box, well, I guess the box was on fire. Then all of a sudden, there was a shoot up from the diesel finally like hitting temperature to ignite. So it's not super easy to um, necessarily put a torch to it and it'll just go. I mean, it will, but it's not as easy as like gasoline, where you know a little bit of fire on gas and it'll go. On diesel, it takes a little more time, typically speaking. I wonder what they were doing with their diesel that it was so bad. Like, was it just they were getting crap diesel? Was it something that they knew was stored too long? Or uh, it would just be very interesting to know what the actual outcome and why it was so bad um, for them, because that's obviously not a good thing for anybody working through, or you know how many expensive trucks had issues. You know, like I said, there's a lot of trucks with CP4s. Dodge used it for like I think 2 years. Chevy had it for several years. Ford has it for over a decade. That's a lot of trucks going through there that potentially could get um, well, essentially destroyed because of them. So that really that really sucks to hear. Um, Nick, admittedly, I kind of forgot about your CSF question up there. I don't believe they do. So let's look for, let's see. I don't believe they do. So with the 6.7, the intercooler is water cooled. It's a water cooled intercooler. Sounds weird to say. Mishimoto makes one. No Limit makes one. I'm trying to see who. I'm not sure who Pro Power is, but they make one. Pro Power Diesel. Swag Performance has one. This looks like a cheap knockoff on eBay. Air to water, HD water, intercooler, blah, blah, blah. $45 of them sold. When there's $600, so either they're going to be a company people really like in a couple years, selling the intercooler at $600 as opposed to what most are, or they're not going to be around because it's a terrible product. One or the other. Hard to say, really. But there they are. Those are really the only ones I'm aware of that are in the game. And I even did quick look it up here. There might be something I'm just not aware of. But I wouldn't necessarily trust it, personally speaking. So yeah, factory, No Limit, or Mishimoto are your only current options for intercoolers on the sorry, I thought I saw something where it said that SMB had one, but it does not. look to be the case. So yeah, not a ton out there. An icebox. Those icebox things seem cool. I haven't seen anybody. I don't know that anyone makes one for the 6.7 or how to adapt it, but I have heard of them. Um, and I remember one guy having one on a Camaro and being at the track in line, joking about how he had his AC on in line, which most people don't have their AC on when they're getting ready to race down the track. But that's part of how his setup worked. It was really cool. Seemed to work really well also. I don't know who I would go with. So this is one of the products I've heard people say Mishimoto actually does quite well, is their intercooler for the 6.7. The hold on, it's going to come back to me. The No Limit looks really good. I like No Limit stuff. If mine went, I definitely wouldn't go with another Ford. I would definitely upgrade, but I'd have to do some research before I did. I would have to do more research on which one's better. Right now I would say No Limit is what I would go with. I'm trying to look up to see if there's any information on it. To see if anyone, here's one from back in 2019. Here's a post, I should say. And this one, I actually remember this guy from this forum when I was on. He's got good information, but he says Mishi has crap name along with crap customer service. Go with No Limit. This one person does have a good point here and here. Is that any real performance increase is pretty negligible. And then Mishimoto jumps in here. Yeah, some of that's crap. Them trying to do damage control. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of that. I was, yeah. So, No Limit or factory would probably be my bet. There is an argument for factory in the sense of you have a Ford warranty, so that's kind of nice to deal with, typically speaking, and also that you can, like any performance increase is going to be pretty minimal. The biggest thing I'd be looking for is the reliability, and I don't know that there's any reliability gains to be had in that situation. So I would probably be inclined to stick factory, but because I do this channel, I would upgrade to the No Limit and give it a whirl just for the review of the product as a whole. Which means I really should probably get some good EGT data prior to doing anything like that. Granted, again, I don't think there's any real performance to be had in that department on a 6.7. Those intercoolers are pretty stout from factory as far as what they do. I think back in the 6.7, 6.0 days, I'm not sure about the 6.4, but I imagine them too. With the intercoolers there, you really had a lot of performance left on the table. The 6.0 intercooler wasn't bad. It had a reliability issue, but you could put a thicker one in there. So there is that. Mishimoto having a more affordable 6.0 intercooler is something that's kind of appealing to me. I can't say that I wouldn't want to give it a whirl. I do dislike Mishimoto, though. That's kind of a tough one. So I see it there. I do know a shop that really actually likes the Mishimoto intercooler. Excuse me. So I can't say I would never try it, but they frustrate me. That's really all there is to it. They frustrate me. Let's see. I do want to take one more look at that intercooler because it did look good. That's the super annoying part about it, is it looked like a decent product coming from them, which is a rare thing they do these days. Oh, there we go. I was in the wrong section. I'm like, why is this only showing me car stuff? I want truck nonsense. Their degas bottles garbage. Don't use that. I wouldn't recommend their high pressure oil rail system either. Yeah, cast end tanks, tube and fin instead of a bar and plate. That must be the difference between the two, because it says it's still the same 33% thicker than stock. So at $520, that's not bad, because I do believe the CSF is now more expensive since they've gotten popular, which is a shame because that's a great intercooler for a super reasonable price. Yeah, no. All right, time to get off Mishimoto's website. I've given them enough support today. They don't need any more from me. Yeah. Quick check. One more thing here. Oh, wow, we had a bunch of people just jump in at the 1 hour mark. If you guys haven't already hit that like button, it does help the channel out quite a bit. You'd be shocked how much. Has anybody in here seen the most recent YouTube short I did? It was just a changing a taillight bulb. It actually, for one of my shorts, did like really well, at over 2.4 thousand views, which is pretty. It's the first short I've had. It's at 2.5 now. It's the first short I've had that actually did something for views, which was kind of nice. But just want to get your guys' take on what you thought about that, what you think about some of the other stuff we're doing, anything that you guys have to add to it. Please let me know. We are going to probably, unless the chat kind of perks up and you guys get into some questions, we will probably be shutting this down in the next 10 minutes or so. So throw it all out there, guys. If there's anything, if you have seen it, if you haven't, any videos you want to see coming up in the future, please let me know. I am happy to do them the best I can. The next video coming out will be the remote start video. Again, I'm very excited about that. And we're going to try finding some more affordable keys that actually work on these trucks. Since F-250 keys. Because basically what I want to do is find the cheapest way for somebody to have remote start on their truck. That is the first and foremost goal, to get people that don't have remote start to having remote start on their truck. But yeah, no, that's as we kind of dwindle down here, that's probably my biggest thing right now. If you look at a lot of these keys, there's a ton of back and forth information of some people saying it works, some people saying they didn't. There's a couple things I'm looking for that I believe are part of the issue. I think the S chips as opposed to something called an SA chip in the PATS keys, I think is one of the big issues that that we've had. Although I don't truthfully know, to be perfectly honest. Tearing apart a Ford key, by the way, is not fun. It takes a little bit of work to take it apart and not damage the circuit board in there. That took me a good 30-40 minutes to make happen when I was doing it. And then if I do find a set of keys that work, that are cheap, we'll definitely post them. If not, the alternative is going to be to help you guys find some links in like eBay to get some affordable keys. Hey, Joseph, how are you? Oh, Joseph, that really sucks, man. Gearhead has a really good reputation. I do recommend them. They are one of the people that I will be getting. I don't know that I'll review a ton as I get back into those like tune reviews. I don't know that I'm going to necessarily review like everybody's tune that they make. Like I'm going to review probably a street tune and a race tune. Those are probably the two things I'm going to do most. But Gearhead, good choice. Gearhead SPD, Blessed Performance has good reviews overall. I know some people have been. If you look at anyone, someone's upset about somebody's tune somewhere. So bear that in mind. But those three people I would definitely check out. Gearhead, SPD. I run SPD a lot. And Blessed for Performance. There we go. Now that I'm not stuttering with my words. Those would be my top ones to go check out. One thing I've seen tunes for sale on like eBay and stuff for a lot of trucks. And I don't know. I know eBay recently got in a lot of trouble. So I don't know if that's even still a thing, but I do want to say I do not recommend that. I would not be using eBay anything for tunes. That's just got bad idea written all over it, in my opinion. Oh, if I was still dailying my if I didn't have the 6.7, I always bought a 3-tune package. I wanted a tow tune, a street tune, and a race tune. Those were my 3 tunes I always got. The race tune was only used when I was actually racing or going to dyno events. The tow tune, obviously, I ran when towing. I honestly ran tow tunes a lot more than you would think, but I would typically go for a street tune once like my towing season was over. Once like late October, early November, I would switch to that. And I'd run that again until I was towing. If I knew I had a couple months where I wasn't going to tow, I would still throw a street tune on. They're fun. But a good running tow tune, honestly, when the 6-liter was running its absolute best with 175 injectors, a Power Max turbo, and I had a reasonable tire size on there. And I just remember there's a really nice stretch of road in Myrtle Beach when I go down there. That traffic's normally not bad. It's on the highway. You can kind of just get in it and have a little bit of fun. And I remember doing it and just kind of taking a moment to enjoy my truck and go, this is just this is running so good. And it was a tow tune. And it was a tow tune I actually asked that when I had those made, that I did their standard tow tune, which I never towed with. One, I asked them to pull performance out of a little bit on their tow tune and their street tune. And I will say this, the tow tune was hands down my favorite. So I would definitely do, in your case, I would recommend like a hot street tune, an unlimited tow tune, and then like maybe a slightly bump in power toe tune. Excuse me. The reason I asked that company to pull back in some of their tuning of the toe tune is I asked them how like how much power was it, and they were saying it had oh gosh, it was like, I think they said it was somewhere around like 75 horsepower, and that was just more than I was looking for. So they did pull some out reluctantly. I kind of had to coax them into that a little bit. They did not want to do that, but definitely something I'm very glad that I did do. But yeah, I love a good toe tune, man. 6 liters, it's one of the things that's really fun about 6 liters still. I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know how much longer that'll be a thing. I get a little worried about that sometimes. The EPA is very successfully attacking a lot of tuners, a lot of shops out there. I understand that sentence. I mean, I feel pretty strongly that that's what they're doing in an area. I just feel like they're messing with stuff they shouldn't be so much. Makes me worried for the future of diesels in general. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what that'll entail. I know they'll be around. They're not going anywhere. But like, what does the aftermarket look like when the EPA is really kind of drilling some of these companies? So anyway, that's that. I won't get too hung up on that, but they do really kind of upset me with a lot of what they do, and I wish they would stop. Like now, I wish they would stop right now. F250. I still got my key search up in the background here, trying to find the thing I was looking for. I think I have figured one thing out, and I think I will be able to find you guys some affordable ones. Nick, thanks for coming in, man. Good seeing you. We're about done anyway, so you're not missing too much, but I did want to get a live stream on here. It's been a bit since I've done one, and I am trying to really get more regular, get people back in here, because I like doing this. I want to keep doing it. Yeah, Joseph, it did suck. Warren Diesel, their tunes were great. I do have to confess, I do have the capability of getting them for myself, but they're really not tuning for anyone anymore. So it does stink because they're great tunes. I love them. They're amazing. Sucks that your CPU got corrupted on the truck, or was it the tuner itself that did it? Was that the issue? Because I wonder if you have them saved on your computer, I wonder if SCT would do anything to maybe help figure out if they could get them over to that new device. Maybe not. I don't know. SCT's gotten themselves in a lot of EPA trouble too. So there's that. This is a very random complaint. Some of you guys will know that I have a water-cooled setup for my PC. Because again, modified as much as my 6 liter. Every now and then, you'll get a bubble. And it won't make it past this little spot in this distro plate thing that I have. And it drives me nuts. I'll get it out because you just have to tilt it. I'm just not going to tilt it right now. But anyway, I do want to say thank you guys for coming in, hanging out. If you haven't, quick hit that like button. Get in the chat. But we are going to end it here. I will do this soon again, probably in about a week. I'm going to try to start picking a day that I do these on every week. I've gone back and forth between Sunday and Thursday right now. I'm leaning towards doing them on Sundays, at least twice a month, if not 4 times a month. And sometimes they'll have topics, sometimes it'll be open question Q&As like today. Again, as these grow and get bigger, they do tend to be more fun. But thank you, everybody. I hope everyone has a good night. Stay tuned for the next video coming out, which will be the remote start video on the 6.7 and how to, quite frankly, you can do it super cheap on your truck and not have to buy a bunch of stuff. So stay tuned for that, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.